What was the relationship and chemistry between Geralt and Yennefer after one of their usual breakups? How does this relate to a tale about golden dragons in the world of Witcher? Let's have a look at the first story of the second Witcher book. The story begins with a scene familiar to the first Witcher game in Vizima. Geralt takes a commission of killing a basilisk underground. The crowd sprawled around the place doesn't believe he'll survive and starts to debate who will take his horse and belongings once he's dead. A mysterious man, rather rich looking, with 2 hired mercenaries by his side, protects the horse and the wrongdoing on him. To everyone's surprise, Geralt emerges from the underground with the trophy of the creature and requires a payment from the alderman. He gets it and greets the mysterious man, who names himself as 3 Jackdaws. Geralt also recognizes his 2 strong and deadly companions, which are women from Zerrikania, fierce fighters. He then accepts an invitation to travel along them to the nearest inn. Geralt and 3 Jackdaws have a wonderful feast in the inn before Geralt ends up in a bed with one of the Zerrikanians. Geralt has a talk with the Jackdaws about his profession. Jackdaws is very familiar with the work of witchers and recognizes there are few beasts that they don't touch. One of them is dragons. Geralt tells him about a certain type of dragon and says he has never killed one and doesn't wish for it because they don't hurt humans. For a moment, Jackdaws leaves the table. On the question why the Zerrikanian girls stay with Jackdaws and travel along with him, they answer because he's the most beautiful, which is a rather strange statement for a mercenary. The next day, Geralt travels along, and when they want to cross a river, they stumble upon a barrier of soldiers. They tell them they hold a bridge, and without a safe conduct, they cannot cross. While talking with the guards, a man waiting already there without a conduct emerges. It's Dandelion, with his typical purple doublet and a beret. He tells Geralt and Jackdaws what's the deal. Young King Nidemir has given an order to not pass through his lands because there was an incident. The incident involved a dragon which endangered his city, and in the end he got poisoned by a stuffed sheep. The dragon had fled though, had not died. Because he was already weak, King and his counselors decided to go on a mission to kill him and take his treasure. The counselor only permitted people with safe conduct to pass through his king's land because he knew the word would spread and many people would come to try and get the dragon's stash of gold for themselves. After a while, a sorcerer named Dorgray comes to the border and wants to pass as well. Guards tell the group that one sorcerer already passed, but he's not allowed. The sorcerer who passed, or rather a sorceress, was Yennefer of Vengerberg. Jackdaws bribes the guards for a hefty sum. They let all of them through, Geralt with Dandelion, the 2 Zerrikanian, and the sorcerer. The story continues with Geralt in the night camp, where he sits with all the dragon hunters at the foot of the mountains. He initially didn't want it to come along. He's not interested hunting a dragon, but he wants to meet Yennefer, which is supposed to be there. A next sort of hunters is introduced in the story. Group of hunters led by Boholt, a massive man with wide shoulders. Group of dwarves led by Yarpen Zigrin. A group of reavers, and then last but not least, Knight Aike, the greatest dragon hunter of all of them. Geralt leaves the fire camp and approaches the tent where Yennefer stays. Once they meet, she snaps at him, and she's very angry, rather furious. She states that when they met 4 years ago, she did not expect that he would behave like this towards her. Geralt tries to be gentle with her, but apparently neglected her for some time. For his life as a witcher, traveling from commission to commission, and Yennefer would not have it. Their conversation ends by her on an aggressive tone. She doesn't want to talk with him. The next day, they continue on the road. Incident happens during crossing a mountain pass bridge. The bridge collapses, and many of the wagons and archers who serve the king as an elite group do not get over the chasm. Geralt and Yennefer almost die in this incident, since they travel on horses in the back of the caravan. In the end, the knight on command of Dandelion, who are both through on the other side of the bridge, throw a rope to Geralt with Yennefer, and they are saved. I will quote a tense part from the incident on the bridge in order to explain how bad the relationship between Geralt and Yennefer is at that point. "Can you hold on?" asked Geralt. "No," she said coldly. She was no longer struggling to hang on this belt, but simply hanging from his back, lifeless, inert weight. "Yennefer, shut up." "Yen, please forgive me." "No, never," she said just moments before dying or being saved. The group travels on, and indeed encounters a huge beast. A beast of massive proportions, even to the experienced dragon hunters. It is lying in a valley, with its triangular head, 2 huge wings, and shiny golden scales, and it is moving a bit lazily. After a moment, there is a voice in the valley. The dragon speaks. Everyone is in awe. They cannot believe their ears. The golden dragon is suggesting a fair fight, one-on-one, without any magic or fire. The king's knight, the greatest dragon slayer of all, raised his banner first. The herald cries his name, and he gallops on his horse down the valley to meet the dragon. After a pretty short fight, Dragon injures him with his talons and calls the group of hunters, which is led by the counselor and the king, that he is injured, and they should call for another challenger. This causes King Nidemir to change his mind, and with his group of the most faithful leaves the valley and the battlefield, stating that during this journey he already learned more than he hoped for, and he probably doesn't want to risk the lives. Boholt, the dwarves, and the reavers elect to attack the dragon together and split the treasure. Geralt, Sorcerer Dorgrey, and Dandelion disagree, for which they are paralyzed by Yennefer and tied. Yennefer attempts to disable the dwarves and reavers so she can kill the dragon herself, as its viscera will supposedly cure her infertility. But she's disabled. The golden dragon, bored of waiting, enters the struggle and dispatches the reavers and the dwarves. He leaves a fledgling green dragon with the remaining party members and attacks an oncoming army group from a nearby village who came to help the king. The Zerrikanian girls appear and assist the golden dragon, revealing that Free Jackdaws is actually a golden dragon, but in a human form. Geralt understands that, according to the tale, golden dragons can take whichever form or shape upon them. Reassuming his human form, Free Jackdaws explains that the green dragon, Myrktebrake, called him for assistance and left him with her treasure, which is her hatchling, as a payment. Geralt asks him why he chooses a human disguise. Jackdaws admits that unlike the rest of dragonkind, he likes humans. He says that Yennefer's infertility is irreversible, but she refuses to give up on finding a cure. He then returns to his golden dragon form and flies away. Geralt then suddenly realizes that he's truly the most beautiful. Thanks for watching. That's all for this time. Feel free to subscribe, since I'll see you again in a few days with another story about Geralt the Witcher.